Most runners think that the only way to run a faster 10K is just to run more miles. But for veteran runners, right, I'm talking about like military veterans who like to run or just everyday people, those over 35, that approach can lead to burnout, nagging injuries, and slower time. In this video, I'm going to show a smarter way to get faster without trashing your knees or ending up sidelined for months. I'm Dr. Ray Peralta, a Marine veteran, physical therapist, and run coach. For over 10 years, I've helped thousands of people, including veterans and military vets, run faster, crush their 10Ks, and stay injury-free even when they thought their best days were behind them. Today, I'm going to share smart training strategies so you can run a faster 10K without getting hurt. We're going to cover 3 pillars to a faster 10K. Build strength the right way, smart running workouts that actually work, and recovery strategies every veteran runners can't afford to ignore. So, number 1, build a strong foundation. See, a lot of times people think about running, they're like, oh, I got to build the base. I say the base should be strength. Build a strength base, strength training. See, many veterans skip strength training thinking that running alone is enough for their legs. That's a myth, and it's going to keep you slow and injured. See why it matters. Strength training improves your running economy, meaning you run faster with less effort. Yes, you still got to run, and we'll talk about the running later. But right now, strength training is going to help you build that strong base for your legs, right? It builds resilience in your knees, hips, and ankles, critical as you age. It prevents common injuries like knee pain, shin splints, and IT band syndrome. So what to do, right? You want to do at least 2 strength sessions per week, and those strength sessions should include the lower body, right? It's a common mistake. I've talked to people like, oh, I strength train twice a week. I'll do arms one day and legs the other day. No. Do legs at least 2 days a week, and you could do upper body and core and all that. And there's different ways to skin it, right? You could do full body routine. That will cover your legs at least twice a week if you do full body routine. Or you could split routine, right? You could do upper body days, lower body days, right? Again, lower body should still be the emphasis if you have a busy week. Always prioritize the lower body, especially for running. So you can split into a heavy lower body day, right? Think heavy squats, deadlifts, lunges, right? Typically lower reps, 6 to 8 rep RM, heavier weights. And then a speed or dynamic power day, a day where you're doing more speed lifts, think power cleans, jump squats, kettlebell swings, speed squats, speed hip thrust, explosive movements for speed. Now you can integrate the two if you're doing like a full body routine, or you could do this kind of split that I'm talking about here. Again, if you're very busy, you're time crunched, full body works fine. Just again, make sure you're prioritizing the leg. And again, at least one of those days is heavy and another days is speed, right? And if your BMI, right, if you're overweight, if you have a BMI over 25 or your body fat percentage is high, right? So body fat for men, if it's over 25% or for women, it's over 32%, aim to get into a more leaner or athletic range. Why? Because less body weight, if you're overweight, can significantly boost your speed and endurance. There's a reason the fastest runners are lean, right? It's just it's physics, right? There's less dead weight to carry. Doesn't mean you can't run if you're overweight or obese. However, if you're trying to optimize for speed, then it would behoove you to get to a leaner body weight, right? It's just common sense if you're trying to get faster. Obviously, look at the elite runners in different race categories, whether it's 5K, 10K, marathon, etc. So when I was in the Marine Corps, I thought running more was the only way to get faster. It wasn't until I started doing heavy strength training, right? Squats, deadlifts, and even explosive lifts, the power clean and press, that I started shaving minutes off my time without necessarily needing to do more miles, right? Just doing quality strength training, I got much faster. So number 2, now we're going to talk about smart running workouts, right? You just can't do random. I mean, you could, but then you're just guessing, right? It's better to do smart training approach, a smart running plan. So let's talk about the running. One of the biggest mistakes a lot of veteran runners make is running all their miles at the same pace. That leads to plateaus and injuries, or they run too hard. Even though they're following a plan, they inadvertently start running it too hard, running too much, too soon, causing overuse injuries, right? Like knee pain, IT band syndrome, etc. The smarter way. I'm a big fan. If you're someone who, especially if you run like 5 days a week or more, or let's say, I'm going to say 4 to 5 days a week or more, do the 80-20 approach, right? 80-20% of your runs should be easy, conversational pace, and 20% should be harder targeted efforts. Now, if that schedule doesn't work for you or you're like very busy, you can still get fast. And I'm also an exercise physiologist, and a lot of EPs, right? Exercise physiologists like the 3 days per week approach, which is where you do 3 run workouts, and then 2 days are like cross training for your aerobic. So for the 3 run workouts, it would be at least 1 long run, one tempo run, and one speed or track workout. The long run, right, that's going to build your endurance, mental toughness. It's usually a little bit more than your race distance. So if you're training for a 10K, the long run might be a 15K or something. Now, if you're a beginner, your long run could just be a 10K. That's fine. But if you're more advanced, you might want to do a little bit more than the 10K, right? A 15K or 20K, etc. Right, it's going to help you build your endurance, your mental toughness, and then, or you could do it for time. So instead of distance, you could just do a long run for time. Do an hour long run, hour and a half long run, a 2 hour long run, at least once a week. Tempo run, you could do the tempo run, typically just slightly below your 10K pace. I think between 5K and 10K pace, right? You're just running pretty fast for like about 30 to 45 minutes. If you're a beginner, maybe you just do a tempo run for 20 minutes. You're gonna essentially running at your lactate threshold to improve your lactate threshold, so you could run faster and longer. Or another way to think of it is you're building your tolerance to your lactate buildup in your body. You're being more resilient to that lactate accumulation, that blood lactate accumulation. If you're not sure, you could get this stuff tested. You could test your blood lactate, work with an exercise physiologist, get a running test, a lactate threshold test to see where you're at, or do a time trial. You could just do a 20, 30 minute time trial, see what your time trial, then you get your average pace or heart rate at the end. I just say pace just to make it easy. And you go, okay, cool. That kind of average last minute, 10 minutes of that 30-minute time trial would essentially be your tempo run pace. Okay. Cool. The next type of workout is a speed or track workout, at least once a week, right? You could do this on a track. This is ideal, like the standard 400-meter track, right? So you do intervals like repeat 400 meters, repeat 800 meters, repeat 200 meters, right? There's different sets and reps, right? Maybe you do 6x400, 10x400s, right? And then maybe you'll rest a minute or rest 2 minutes, etc. Again, there's different ways to do this type of workout. Another style of workout is just doing mile repeats or repeat, right? So you just find a straightaway or like some kind of track or course. We could run a whole mile, or you do this on the track again, or a treadmill, repeat miles or repeat 1Ks. And then, try to do enough to be, so if you're doing miles, like 6x1 mile repeats, right? Try to decrease the recovery each week. So instead of recovering for like 3 minutes, then try to decrease to 2-minute recovery between intervals and so forth. And then if you do choose to run 4 days a week, that's fine. Maybe you do easy run on Monday, a speed work on Wednesday, Friday tempo run, and Sunday a long run, right? And then you can also do some strides after easy runs. Strides are like short, kind of mini sprints. You're not going like all out sprints, but they're essentially a faster run at the end of an easy run to help you improve your turnover, your form, your cadence. And also do a warm-up. Make sure you do a proper dynamic warm-up before you go on any of these run workouts. So dynamic warm-up, things like leg swings, A skips, B skips, C skips. You can look at that. There's so many type of running warm-ups or running drills you could do as part of your dynamic warm-up before you do a run workout, right? And then you can obviously just jog in place, or do a slow jog or light jog before a run workout. That could also be as part of your warm-up. So you may jog for like 5 minutes plus do the dynamic warm-up for 5 minutes, and now you have a 10-minute warm-up, 5-minute dynamic warm-up, 5-minute jog, boom, and that will help you get ready for your run workout. Now we're going to the recovery strategies. Number 3, recovery strategies. You don't just get faster from the workouts you do, you get faster from recovering from those workouts. So keep key recovery steps, right? Rest days, at least one true rest day. Don't think you're going to do junk miles and run junk miles as a recovery day. Oftentimes, only very elite runners can actually do true recovery days. A lot of times, the beginner, intermediate runner actually needs true recovery days. Don't go out for a recovery run and do junk miles and make yourself more tired, right? So at least once per week, especially if you're over 40 or injury prone, you may even need 2 or 3 true recovery days where you're not actually running. You can still walk on these days or do other activities, but don't put more stress on your body with running, especially if you're injury prone or we find that your legs are tired or like dead legs all the time. For cross training, if you're running 3 days per week, I recommend at least 2 cross training days per week. Things like biking, rowing, swimming, or even rucking. Rucking can actually be part of cross training. Don't do it so much that it takes away from your workout the next day, but you could do like a 30-minute ruck, 45-minute ruck, right? Or bike or row, etc. Make sure you're also sleeping, right? People are like, oh, that's common sense. But so many people think that, oh, I'm going to get by being sleep deprived, right? Sleep at least 7 hours per night to allow your muscles and nervous system to recover. And also consider the run-walk method, right? You can actually run a pretty fast 10K doing run-walk method. Don't think you have to run the entire thing. It's possible to pace yourself. I'm a big fan of the run-walk because it teaches good pacing, right? And especially if you're coming back from injury or just starting out, use run-walk intervals. Now, you can use run-walk even if you're an advanced runner. So maybe intermediate runner, you might run for 5 minutes, walk for a minute, and repeat that for the entire 10K. Or if you're more advanced, maybe you run for a mile or a mile and a half, and then you walk 30 to 60 seconds and repeat that. And you could actually still run pretty fast because you're going all out for that mile. And then you kind of slow down, you pace yourself, and then you go back again. You could do that kind of cycle for the whole 10K. So you could definitely do the run walk method and still run a pretty good 10K. So let's talk about bonus race day strategy. Obviously, you want to do a taper leading up to the race day. Plan your schedule backwards, right? So let's say you want to run a faster 10K. Give yourself at least 2 months, but even better, 3 months to plan for a faster 10K, right? So you pick a race, either do it on your own or pick a local race that you could do the 10K. It doesn't have to be some world thing where you have to travel to it unless you want to. 10K race, that's about 2 or 3 months out. Work backwards, so you have like, okay, cool, you could plan out your weeks, your training blocks, and then taper at least 1 week prior, that week leading into the race day, you're tapering, you're just cutting down the running volume in half. Typically, you're decreasing the strength volume, the strength intensity. And then for the actual race day itself, obviously you're going to do the warm-up. We talked about doing a dynamic warm-up, jogs, strides. And then when you're actually doing the race, you're racing the 10K, you could break it up into thirds, right? The miles 1 to 2, a little slower than race pace. Miles 3 and 4 at race pace, and miles 5 to 6, and it's 10K is like 6.2, right? The last, part of the race, the last third of it, run at faster than race pace, right? In the very beginning, obviously, pace yourself, start controlled. Again, start slower than goal pace for the first 1 to 2 miles, so you're not gassing out, right? You're not putting all in the tank. And then you pace yourself, and again, at the final kilometer, go as fast as you can, empty the tank, and finish strong. And then hydration tip. Most people don't need to typically hydrate during the 10K race if it takes you less than an hour. So now if it takes you more than that, or if it's just very hot, yes, you can sip a couple of sips of water doing the run walk method, right? Every mile, right at the mile marker, you could have a sip of water for like 15, 30 seconds and then run again, right? You could, it's a good thing about the run walk method. You could actually walk at the aid stations and, enjoy yourself that water or hydration or Gatorade or whatever hydration fluid is best for you. I tell people bring your own hydration. Sometimes the race day organizers aren't properly stocked with what works for your body or your gut. But regardless, most people can get by with 10K if you're in pretty good shape without having to hydrate, unless it's very hot or humid and you need more hydration. Or if you're a slower runner, then yes, you may have to hydrate a bit more because you're just spending more time on your feet. You're just spending more time out there. Now, if you want a step-by-step plan to run faster without injuries, whether you're a military veteran or just an everyday runner, join my free school community, currently called Running Pain Free. Inside I share tips, training plans, and even injury rehab specific stuff for running related injuries and for military veterans. So you're not alone. So click the description to get started and let's crush that next 10K together. So just to recap, we talked about strength training at least twice per week. Run smarter, do the 80-20 method, or do the 3 quality run method. Prioritize recovery and use a controlled race day strategy for your best performance.